I did not follow him, not because I was afraid. I do not particularly fear men in suits. The suit is a kind of theater. It tells you what a person wants you to think about them, which is useful information but not a reason to be frightened. What it says in this case was, I belong here. I have authority. I move through the city with the confidence of someone who has been told that the city is his to move through. I've met a lot of men who've been told that. Most of them were wrong, but something told me that following him now was not the right move. That whatever this was, it was early. Early in the way that first sounds are early. The first crack before the whole thing breaks. You do not rush toward a first crack. You listen for the second one. You find the wall it's in. You sit with the information until it tells you its own shape. I know how to sit with things. It is arguably the thing I do best, so I stayed on the fire escape and I watched him go. He walked east on 46th Street with the same unhurried pace he'd arrived with. No acceleration, no backward glances, no tells at all. The city opened and closed around him the way it does with everyone, 1,000 small transactions of space and motion, people moving around each other on autopilot, nobody seeing anybody. He crossed 8th Avenue without waiting for the light. A cab hit its horn. He did not look up. He turned the corner and was gone, taking his black case and his swab full of dark fluid with him, and the city immediately began to pretend he had never been there at all. The city is very good at that. I sat on the fire escape for a long time after he left. Below me, the dead pigeon lay in its puddle of gray rainwater and scattered feathers. Sal's dishwasher came out the back door for his second cigarette of the hour, which tells you everything you need to know about how Sal runs his kitchen. He saw the pigeon. He stood there for a moment, the cigarette burning between his fingers, looking at it with the particular expression of a man calculating whether the dead bird constitutes a problem he is personally responsible for. He said something in Polish, short, dismissive, and went back inside. A delivery van double-parked on 46th, and a courier spent 4 minutes swearing at the driver through the open window of a bike helmet that made his head look like a beetle. The steam vent on the corner exhaled and exhaled, each pulse exactly like the last. A woman walked past the alley entrance twice in 20 minutes, which in this neighborhood usually means she's lost or looking for someone, and her energy said looking. The city continued exactly as it always had. That's the thing that kept catching me. The wrongness of the morning was not that the city had changed. It was that it hadn't. That all of this ordinary motion was still happening. The trucks and the cigarettes and the horns and the steam. And underneath it, something was different in a way that the city's surface showed no awareness of. 8 million people. All of them continuing exactly as they always had. None of them with their noses down. I kept thinking about the white eyes. The way the pigeon's eyes had gone from dark to nothing, not clouded, not dead yet, but emptied. Like something had taken up residence in the space where a pigeon's small dim consciousness usually lived, then moved on, left the lights off on the way out. I kept thinking about the woman on West 45th who'd stopped mid-stride for 40 seconds and then continued, unchanged, as though the 40 seconds hadn't happened. I thought about her dog, sitting beside her, whining. Because the dog knew. Animals know. We don't have the human habit of talking ourselves out of what our bodies are telling us. Her dog knew something was wrong. She wouldn't know she'd stopped at all. I kept thinking about the way the man in the suit had looked up, at the exact right spot on the fire escape. 20 feet in shadow, black cat on black metal, wrong angle, wrong light, no reason. And he had looked directly at me with the flat, specific attention of someone making a note. Not surprise. Not the flinch of an accidental glance catching movement. He had looked at exactly where I was with the calm of a person confirming something they already suspected. Which meant he knew or suspected that something was watching. That there was something in this city that watched. He was right. There is. I thought about the fluid on the swab. Black, dense, with that quality I couldn't name. The sense that it was pulling rather than reflecting, that light was bending toward it rather than bouncing away. I'd seen a lot of things in 6 years in this neighborhood, and I had never seen anything that black. It did not look biological. It looked like it belonged to a different category of substance than biological, the way oil belongs to a different category than water. Related by proximity, but fundamentally opposed in nature. I thought about all of these things while the afternoon moved through its paces below me. The kitchen has a rhythm to it, a texture that changes over the course of a day the way light changes. Morning is gray and functional, deliveries, trash, the early workers moving with the specific hunched urgency of people who started before they wanted to. Midday is louder, the restaurants opening their back doors, the lunch crowd filling the pavements, the city remembering that it has an appetite. Afternoon turns slower, a different quality of light. The sun shifting around the towers to the west and throwing long shadows east across the avenues, the streets going into a temporary gold that the old brickwork drinks up differently than the glass does. I watched the gold come and go from the fire escape, watched the afternoon regulars, the man who walks his arthritic spaniel at exactly 3 o'clock, pace slow as weather, the 2 women from the salon on 48th who eat their lunch outside on the step regardless of temperature, the kid who skateboards the same loop around the same block the same number of times every afternoon, which is 8 loops, I have counted. None of them stopped. None of them went empty-eyed. The ordinary city moved in its ordinary patterns, and the thing that had happened this morning sat in my chest like a stone, heavy and specific, not dissolving. Something had been here. It had used the pigeons, or passed through them, or sampled them. I didn't have the framework yet to say which. It had left a trace dark enough to need a specimen container. It had a direction, east, and it had been moving since at least this morning. That was what I had. It wasn't much, but it was the shape of the beginning of something, and I have learned that shapes matter more than details in the early hours of a thing. The detail comes later. The shape is what tells you how to hold yourself. I held myself low, patient, watching. Sal came out at 6, as always. He appeared through the back door with the plastic container he uses for scraps, the one with the cracked lid that he hasn't replaced in the 4 years I've known him. And he called up in the particular tone he has, slightly gruff, slightly embarrassed, as if this is something that happens to him rather than something he chooses, as if I materialized on his rooftop of my own accord and the food is simply a maintenance cost, like fixing a leak. Sal is not a complicated man, but he is a kind one, and he has never once in 4 years failed to come out with the container. I came down from the fire escape. I ate. The food tasted like it always did. Chicken skin, some rice, a piece of something that had been salmon on someone's plate earlier and was now the leftover of a leftover. Warm, real. The very ordinary comfort of a meal at the end of a strange day. That is what I kept. That ordinariness. The fact that Sal still came out. The fact that the food still tasted like food. When very large things are beginning to move, the small ones are the only anchors you have, and you hold them. The night came in over the buildings the way it always does in Hell's Kitchen. Not suddenly, but steadily, the blue going out of the sky in stages, the amber streetlights switching on block by block, the restaurants beginning to glow, the neighborhood shifting registers from day to whatever it becomes after dark. I moved. That night, I counted 7 more fallen pigeons within 3 blocks of the deli. 7. The first was on the step of the laundromat on 45th. White eyes, lying on its side as though placed there. A precise small death with no sign of impact, no scatter of feathers, no evidence of the usual undignified physics of a bird hitting pavement from height. It had simply arrived, lying on its side, pointing east. The second and third were in the alley beside the parking structure on 46th, together, which was strange. The fourth was on the stoop of a brownstone on the corner of 9th, where the woman with the stopped walking habit lived, and I thought about that. The fifth was on the windowsill of the second floor of a walk-up on 47th, which requires a moment of consideration because pigeons don't fall to windowsills, they fall down. This one had gone sideways. The 6th was on the roof of the bodega on 9th. The 7th was in my alley. My alley. It was lying in the shadow beside the warm steam pipe, 3 feet from where I sleep, and its eyes were flat white, and it was pointing east, and I stood at the mouth of the alley for a long time before I went in. The pipe was still warm. The shadows were exactly what they always were. Nothing else was different. I went in. I lay down with my chin on my paws, the dead pigeon at the edge of my vision, and I listened. The city has a sound at 2 in the morning that is different from any other hour. Not quiet. Manhattan is never quiet, but a different density of noise. The high-frequency human layer stripped back, the deeper registers of the infrastructure coming through, the HVAC systems and the water towers and the trucks on the avenues and the endless low conversation of steel and concrete doing what steel and concrete do under the weight of everything stacked on top of them. Underneath all of it, I found it. Low. Rhythmic. Not a sound. I want to be precise about this because the distinction matters. Not a sound in the way that traffic is a sound, something arriving at the ear. A vibration, something that the city was conducting upward through its layers, through the deep bedrock, through the utility tunnels and the old subway lines and the foundations of buildings that have been standing for 130 years, through the concrete and the tar paper and the cold metal of the grate where I lay, felt in the bones more than heard, slow, regular, like breathing. Something very large, very deep, very patient was doing something down there, something that had a rhythm, something that had been going on long enough that it had a rhythm. I had been in this city for 6 years. I had been in this alley for 6 years, sleeping on this grate, eating Sal's scraps, watching this particular square of Manhattan sky from this particular angle every night. I had never felt this before, but it was there now, unmistakable. A presence in the substrate of the city, a pulse in the bones of the place, as regular and deliberate as something counting, and it was getting louder. I lay in the dark with my chin on my paws and I thought, 7 pigeons. One woman on a pavement who lost 40 seconds. A man with a specimen case who already knew where to look. Black fluid that pulled the light toward it. The first night of something. I did not sleep.